So in the first video that I ever uploaded on Alibre CAD, I made a wheel, and that was more ascertaining, how easy it is to pick up since I'd never used it before, and I thought I would turn around and make a wheel now that I'm a little bit more familiar with Alibre. So this is what I came up with, if you can tell. I personally like the 5-spoke wheels the best because that's what I always make. Let's get started on making a wheel like this, right? We're going to go to a new part. And jumping in here, let's start on our top view plane. That would be our ZX plane here. And in our 2D sketch, I'll grab a circle. Let's do another circle, and another circle that I placed right on top of there. I'll right-click here and say Convert to Reference, and then we'll add in a diameter dimension. Let's go with, not 5 rather, but how about 6? And then we'll come across here and add in 114.7 millimeter, which I think is exactly, not quite 4.516. But I think that's a pretty common bolt circle diameter if I recall. We're going to say 0.75 here. Let's go with vertical relation, making sure that we're vertical. And we're fully defined there. I think I've got one more dimension to go. I think I'm auto-saving here. There we go. So let's go with 2. Now, are we good here? I think we're looking about right. Next, we'll deactivate and extrude. We're going to go to 0.5. And you know what? There's one thing I did forget, actually. I need to actually propagate or pattern these holes, right? So we're going to do a circular pattern here. 5 instances. Our center will be here. And we want to choose an instance pattern. Now that did not actually make sure that our holes were equal, so I'm going to make sure that we are equal all the way around, and then we'll deactivate. And that spreads our holes across the face. Sorry if you hear my daughter in the background. She is being taken care of. Now I want to sketch on this top face, so we're going to activate a 2D sketch. I'll go with a center point arc. We'll add in a horizontal between this point and this point. We'll add an equal to the outside of my curve here. And we'll add a dimension. There we go. From point to point at 2.75. I want to add a series of tangent arcs in, so we'll add in a tangent arc here. We'll add a tangent arc over here, and one final one that should end with a vertical constraint to its center point and end point, and another vertical from its end point to the origin. I'll add some dimensions in. Let's dimension that end point relative to the origin to something like 1.1 inches. We'll give this a radius of 0.5. We'll give this a dimension of 0.75. We'll give this a dimension of, say, 0.15. And we've got a fully constrained sketch that we can mirror. I'll choose my mirror axis to be our vertical sketch axis here. And then 3 arcs to mirror, and we're fully defined. So we'll deactivate that sketch. Next, how about we make some planes that we can use for lofting. Perhaps my first plane will be offset from the XY, right? We're going to add in a plane, and we're going to say negative 3.4. And then I can add another plane in, and let's say that we want to make a 20-inch outer diameter wheel, right? That's going to be a very large wheel. So maybe we'll make that negative 20 and apply that. There we go. So we'll close that. Now I'm already seeing one potential problem, and that is I'm going to be lofting through my hole. So maybe we can address that. We'll edit my extrusion sketch. I wasn't planning on lofting through my hole, but I'm going to leave this in because I've had so many comments that this helps. So first off, we want to restructure our little hole pattern here to make sure that we can turn our hole pattern. Now as I highlight a vertical, I can see that my origin light's blue, so I know that this point is vertical with this point. That's what that's telling me when I hover over it. So I'll select my my relation and delete it. I'm going to do the same here, and now I should be able to move my hole. So I'll do that. I'm going to make a line as a reference that goes through the center, and I'll draw another reference line here, right? And then I want to be able to move all these down. Now this is kind of a mess because I have all of these holes that were once part of a pattern and now are not. So I'm just going to delete all of these. We're going to make a dimension that goes from there to there at 72 degrees, right? That's a fifth of the way around, except I want to say 72 divided by 2. So we go kind of a half of the way around. I'll do a circular pattern now. We'll choose our center to be here. I'll choose an instance pattern with a 5. We're going to say OK. And yep, this time it looks like we did not have constraints or relations copy into our pattern. I'll just re-add those, which should be real quick. All right, so we're going to re-add these. There we go. Now I don't think for our design intent we need to add more than 2 construction lines, because I can make sure that we are horizontal here, horizontal here. Whoop, that did not go the way that I wanted. So we'll simply re-add our horizontal relation. There we go. I also will make sure that we are vertical there. Now, we'll go with a dimension from here to here at 70, not 75, but 72. The same thing here. Oh, looks like we already have that. I think we just need to add an equal between all of these, right? So we're going to say equal, 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 and equal. And we're back in business. So if I generate to my last feature, our sketch does not have any problems. Next, let's choose this next sketch profile to loft on, right? So we choose our plane here. I would like to add a line. Now it's very important to have the same number of sketch figures as we go. I'm going to add a symmetric from here to here. There we go. So now our line is nice and symmetric. We'll go with a coincident from here to here. Tangent arc. So anyway, as I do the sketch profile, I want to make sure that I use the same number of elements from one profile to the next. And that will make sure that I have a clean, rebuildable, nice loft. We're going to go with vertical from there to there to there. We're going to take this arc and say 0.65. We're going to give this radius of 1, give this a radius of 0.5, and maybe I can give this a height, let's say from the origin of 1.5, and I think we're almost there. I think we've only got, only one way in which we are not constrained. So we'll go from here maybe to the origin 0.9. Okay, fully constrained. We'll do a mirror. We'll mirror these arcs about this nice center line here. We have a fully constrained profile, right? Let's choose the next plane that we're working on. I'm going to activate a sketch. Let's do the exact same principle. I'll choose a symmetric constraint, and I care about that vertical axis with these 2 points to make us nice and symmetric. I think I'll grab my origin and this point here, and we're going to say a height of 3. Now let's do a width there of something like 3.5. Let's do a tangent arc coming around here. There we go. We'll go with a vertical there. Let's say 1.2, 1.75, 1.5. Well, actually, we'll go maybe from there to there vertically, 1.5. Unable to determine a solution. My goodness. We'll go vertical there. And our height is unconstrained. So 1.5 worked that time. Now it will give this guy we've already dimensioned that at 1.75. But we are missing something. I'll just reduce this to 0.7, and we'll give this a vertical height of 1.2, I meant to say, not 1.52. And we're fully constrained. We'll do a mirror. Again, we're using the same number of sketch elements as before on purpose. We're fully defined, so we'll deactivate the sketch. So we want, in fact, let's edit the definition of this plane here. -20, I said we want to do a 20-inch wheel. That would make us want to have a -10-inch offset so that we have a diameter of 20. That looks a lot more reasonable. So we'll generate to last feature here. We want to go from 2 to 3 to 4, right? So I'll highlight 2, 3, and 4. In fact, I need to hold Control instead of Shift. 2, 3, and 4 in my tree. We'll do a loft, and let's see how that looks with minimize twist and minimize curvature on. There we have it. I like that a lot. I would like this face to go a little bit further or deeper in. So to do that, let's specify a tangent on our sketch profile 2. Let's do that to a magnitude of 2. And yeah, that's a little bit different. If I go back to edit and unminimize my curvature, I like that, right? So we'll unminimize our curvature. That gives us a really nice complex looking face there. But again, this is kind of personal preference as to what you want your wheel to look like. I'll pattern my loft, do an instance pattern to a number of 5 with our center around this face. Bam. And there we have it. Our YZ plane will activate a sketch. Now I can sketch out a profile there to there to there to there, and I can start adding some dimensions. I know I want this to be something like 0.3. We'll make this something like 0.25. We'll give this 10. We'll add an angle here of, say, 150. Maybe I can give this diagonal line a vertical dimension of 2 inches. We can add a horizontal to there. And now we ask, where are we not defined? Looks like I'll add in a vertical dimension from the origin of 5, right? We're going to make this 0 offset for simplicity. There's a few ways. I can just sketch out kind of an offset profile, or I can highlight everything and choose offset with a flipped direction. And then I constrain, of course, everything that I was going to do. I did not mean to do that, so I'll hit Control Z. We'll add horizontal. We'll add a vertical. And then we'll add a parallel. Yeah, we'll have to deal with that too. I want to make sure that we're vertical here. Very good. For simplicity, you don't have to dimension the width between these two lines. You can constrain it in other ways if you're worried about over-dimensioning. I'd like to get through this a bit quicker, so I'm giving that a 0.125. 0.125, right? I'm being very simple about this. I don't want to do that, but make that vertical. 0.125, right? 0.125. We'll go back to 2D Sketch and add a view that can close that profile off. And now we ask, where is this not constrained? It should be down here. Yeah, there we go. For simplicity, make that horizontal. Looks like we got to be horizontal down here. And we're fully defined, right? So I'll select everything. We'll do a mirror. Our axis will mirror across there. Come on, mirror axis. There we go. And we've fully defined everything. Deactivate our sketch. And let's now do a nice revolve. There's our wheel profile. Now wheels, I don't think, are actually symmetric, but I'm making this symmetric for simplicity. Next, let's do another sketch on this plane. We're going to activate our sketch here. We'll project a reference figure with maintained association. And I'm going to choose these lines. Looks like that line didn't want to select, so maybe it'll want to select down here. There we go. I think that's actually all I need. I'll reset my view. There, and there. We're going to go with horizontal, and we're going to say dimension to 1.75. Add a vertical. I meant vertical. There we go. And deactivate. My sketch is not closed. So it looks like this thing came in as a we'll convert to regular figures, and yeah, I guess I didn't. I guess I made those reference. I want regular. Okay, we'll deactivate that. We'll do a revolved cut around our center axis. I could probably just highlight that face and pull the axis off of that. So now our spokes do not protrude out to the outside of the wheel. If you're wondering about my part color, that was kind of fun. I set this to be 93% reflective, and I set my color to be 60, 0, 104, and 111 for everything. And that's what generates this color. It kind of reminds me of the graphics in Fusion 360. I really like what Alibre is doing with the graphics here. I think it has a very rich appearance. Now let's add some chamfers. I know most people call them chamfers, but I had this professor in school that called them chamfer, and from then on, it just stuck with me. I'm going to chamfer each one of these holes. in 0.125 there. We're also going to add one there. How about 0.225 on that one? Okay, I think we're probably ready for fillets, right? We really want to smooth this out because a nice fillet will smooth out a bunch of the stresses that will incur around here. Now let's grab a fillet. And actually, you know what? Before I fillet there, how about we fillet around this face? And I'm going to take that down to something like 0.25. All right, now let's add another fillet that I can apply to this edge. So you can see we've rounded out the entire edge down there. And I'm going to see if I can do that all at once. If Alibre will let me. I'll select each of these. There we have it. So our fillets are applied all around there. That really does help with stresses. Next, I'll add a fillet point. How about 0.225? Or even, 245. And because we've got a 0.25 fillet down here, so going a 0.25 around 0.25 might make it a little bit easier to go just a hair smaller, right? So we're going to apply that. We're going to select here and apply that. And notice we broke. That's kind of a problem. So it worked here and it did not work on this edge. I believe it will probably work over here. I think we've probably got one stubborn fillet that will not work on one instance of a pattern. That's quite odd to me. I'm not sure why we broke there. Let's close that. I'm going to get rid of my fillet down here. It could be a face blending issue. So, in fact, why don't I just read the error message? So I try to put the fillet there, it doesn't work, and it just gives me a broken fillet without giving me an error message. So how about I highlight this entire face, I'll add in a fillet, and we'll say something like 0.05, right? Just kind of a modest fillet around there, and that might change where our fillet ends. I'll also attempt to click every line around this edge and go back to 0.245 and apply that. There we go. So I think there was probably a face blending issue on that back face, and just kind of adding a fillet to where that fillet starts and ends, right? Maybe possibly creating this little guy has cleared the error on that one particular face. Kind of odd that that happened that way, but you get that in every platform, so it doesn't really faze me too much in thinking that there's something with this platform in particular when getting errors like that. Now I would like to add some more fillets right on the inside of that, and they're going to have to be pretty small. So I'm going to go, let's choose this inner edge here. We'll choose a fillet 0.125. That might be quite large. It's very large. Edit 0.05, right? We've got to have that tire bead stick on something kind of vertical. So now that I know that that works, we'll edit, and I'll bring in my fillet right in here. Now we'll create another fillet on the outside. We're going to say plus our material thickness, right? Plus 0.125. And we'll go here and apply. So we should have a constant thickness between those two fillets. Maybe I'll add some. Now this probably doesn't make sense for manufacturing because it's wasteful and dumb, but 0.05. What if I highlighted this face and added fillets on here at 0.05, right? Real small, smooth fillets. Now I probably want to smooth this out. Now it's kind of dodgy to have, you know, 3 edges meet all at the same spot. I don't think this will turn out well if I try to add, you know, fillets on these edges. Let's get rid of this face. All right, so if I try to add, yep, it won't let me select anything but the face. So if I try to add a fillet there, I guess it worked. It smooths out. It's kind of messy. So I'm going to get rid of that fillet. Let's try something different, right? I'm going to save this just in case I mess something up spectacularly, but Alibre has excellent topology optimization and topology naming. So I'll bet you, I can go to my additive revolve. I bet I can choose a sketch fillet. We'll go here to here. We'll do something like a large 1-inch sketch fillet. It even kept the sketch fully defined, which I think is pretty cool. Then we're going to say 1.125, and we'll choose here and here. And here and here, so we've built in a fillet. We'll deactivate and generate to the last feature. Nothing broke, and we have our fillets going around smooth surfaces. So that is pretty cool that we can do an update upstream of so many features and not have it break. That's not always the case with any platform, but it's pretty cool that it worked here. We may want to add a valve stem. Oh, there is one little rebuild artifact here, right? And that comes with my circular revolve. I'm going to leave this in the edit because I think going over stuff like this has helped people in the past. I'm going to get rid of this line, right? We're going to delete that. And yeah, I'll reset my view. Let's do a tangent arc. We'll do a horizontal here and here. And now the question, let's project a reference figure here with maintained association. There to there. Excellent. Now we'll go horizontal from here to here. And I can draw my line even better. That's what I wanted. 0.75, just an arbitrary dimension for that. And I think that fixed everything. We'll generate to last feature. I don't think that'll incur us any new errors. Nope, nothing broke. All right, back to my comment on adding a valve stem. This really is kind of rough graphics, and I believe it's because I'm recording this as I'm doing this, and it's lowering my graphic performance because of the load on the processor of recording. But let's add some fillets in here. That'll help smooth it out a little bit. Okay, so we'll close that. I don't think we have any sharp edges anywhere we don't want them. In fact, I think we have very few sharp edges altogether, which is pretty cool. That's very beneficial when working with let's say, injection molding to be able to smooth to the degree that we have. All right, so how are we going to tackle a valve stem? I want to select this axis here. We're going to go with a plane. Now I know that this was offset at a 150-degree angle. So I'll select this plane and choose an angle of 30 degrees. You can see now that we're running parallel to our wall. So I'm going to apply that and create a 2D sketch on the plane that I've just created. I'll reset my view to look at the other end of this. And I'm going to put a circle. Oh, and I'm looking through a spoke right there. So I'll reset my view again. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to deactivate to make sure that I don't drill through my spoke. And we're going to edit our plane and make it negative, or positive, I guess, positive 30 degrees. And that way, when I go to sketch on my plane, and I reset my view, I'm looking through a nice blank piece there. So I know I'm not going through any spokes there. We'll add a vertical constraint relative to our origin. We'll get this to be something like 8, and then whatever diameter we want our valve stem hole to be. 0.5 perhaps, I don't know. We'll deactivate and do an extrude cut through all. So there's our gorgeous wheel. I'll put this on GrabCAD if you'd like to download this. And thank you so much for watching. If this was helpful, please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.